Let's start today with what is more horrible right-wing news out of Italy, where Italy is shifting dramatically to the right, as the Associated Press reports, rewarding Meloni's party. Now, you may be thinking, Meloni? Wait, you're talking about Christopher Meloni, the guy from Law and Order? No, 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 no. It has nothing to do with that. Let me tell you what's going on in Italy. The AP reports a party with neo-fascist roots, the Brothers of Italy, won the most votes in Italy's national elections, looking set to deliver the country's first far-right-led government since World War II and make its leader, Giorgia Meloni, Italy's first woman premier. Near final results showed Monday. Italy's lurch to the far right shifts Europe's geopolitical reality, placing a Eurosceptic party in position to lead a founding member of the EU and its third largest economy. Right-wing leaders across Europe immediately hailed Meloni's victory and her party's meteoric rise as sending an historic message to Brussels. Also, a report from BBC with a similar assessment and similar analysis. Meloni is widely expected to form Italy's most right-wing government since World War II. Now, if you're interested in the specific policies that Meloni ran on and that her party ran on, Brothers of Italy, certainly take a look at that. It is a more or less standard package of this. Some call it right-wing nationalism. Others say it really is neo-fascist. Now, why has this been happening in Europe? Because we've seen it in Hungary. We've seen the rise of these movements in the Czech Republic and Poland and in many different places. Even some of the more traditionally left-wing countries like Sweden have seen elements of this right-wing nationalism rise. The story that is told by the defenders, you've got your strong defenders and your soft defenders of this right-wing movement. The story they like to tell is a very similar story to what those in the US like to tell about Donald Trump, which is these individuals have correctly identified economic concerns, and they've coalesced those who feel as though they have been left behind, as open border immigration has been welcomed, and on and on. And they said, look, here I am actually getting a message that makes sense, which is we need to be, it's simply about being for the people that are here. It's about being, in the US, the story was, we want a guy who's for Americans, not for China, not for the Mexicans coming in through the border. He's for Americans. That's what's great about Trump. And it's a very similar story that they like to tell about the rise of these movements. Hey, listen, we finally have someone who's going to speak up for Italians, not Turkish immigrants or Morocco, whatever the country is, depending on where in Europe you are. There's nothing wrong with being for the French or for the Hungarians. It's for us. It's good. That's the story that's told. However, we know that it's not really about those economic realities and economic concerns, because we have counterexamples. You look, two really good examples are the Czech Republic and Poland. In the Czech Republic and Poland, there has been an improving economic situation by basically every measure over recent years. And yet, support for this right-wing nationalist, neo-fascist movement has grown in the Czech Republic and in Poland over those years. So there's two possibilities. One possibility is, even though the economy has been improving, a lot of people don't realize that. And so they say, no, we need these right-wing nationalists. Now, that happens in the United States. People just ignorant of the reality. I mean, look at right now in the United States, despite some indicators not being so good like inflation, we are close to full employment, and most economic indicators are actually quite solid. You could have the same thing in Europe. The economy is improving. People don't believe it is. So then they go, we need a neo-fascist. That's one possibility. Second possibility is it's not really about the economic stuff. And in the United States under Trump, some people felt that it was the populist economic message that attracted them to Trump. But we know it was more than that. We know it was, if not creating racism and xenophobia, certainly welcoming it and saying, you can all be part of this movement. And so they found a home with Trump. All of these things were really what was going on. And so propaganda is a huge part of it. Fear is a big part of it. We know that making people afraid leads them to reactionary political beliefs. When people become fearful, they reflexively say, well, let's do something about that fear. Much like if you were convinced that there was a really high risk of, for example, a home invasion in your neighborhood, you would, in a reactionary way, be willing to do all sorts of things that maybe when you're clear-headed, you wouldn't be willing to do, whether it's buying all sorts of guns or booby trapping or whatever, right? I mean, you get the idea. Fear gets us to act in ways we would not normally act. And so fear about immigrants from Northern Africa has been a big factor in Europe, us versus them ideology. The European Union doesn't have our best interests in mind, and they're going, it's similar to Trump stuff, right? NATO doesn't have our best interest in mind. These coalitions are bad. NAFTA's bad, all this stuff. Similar sort of idea. So where we end up is with the first, presumably, assuming in the next few hours everything goes as it is expected to go, the most right-wing government in Italy, dating all the way back to World War II. Scary stuff. And we're going to continue following this rightward trend. I know that many of you who watch this show also love documentaries. If you don't have CuriosityStream, you are missing out. Our sponsor, CuriosityStream, is the only streaming platform specializing in documentaries. That's all they have, documentaries. And this lets them deliver the newest and most critically acclaimed documentaries, stuff you're not going to find on other streaming services. CuriosityStream also has a whole bunch of super high quality original content you won't find anywhere else. The other night I watched Asteroids, Comets, and Meteors. As many of you know, I'm super interested in what seems to be the inevitable direction we are going, which is the eventual mining of asteroids. And to be perfectly frank, I never remember the difference between asteroids, comets, and meteors. And that's one of the things that I learned. Check out CuriosityStream's catalog. You'll see they have a much better selection of documentaries than the other platforms. They also have an app for your TV, phone, tablet, and computer. And the best part is my audience gets CuriosityStream for under $2 a month when you go to curiositystream.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.